like right now you're looking at your stuff is fully checked in a month. In less than that, you turn on Vine, which is a way to get reviews. Like the only great organic way to get some reviews in the beginning right now on Amazon. Depending on your product, if it's not like a hot, sexy product like that can easily be resold, like Swarovski or like a higher ticket item, it's going to take longer for those Vine reviewers to like request the product and actually turn around and review it. So
looking at another month, we're at 5.
Okay. So now your product, assuming it's fully optimized, it's ad ready, and it has a handful of reviews so that you could really take a crack at spending some money on ads for this. Assuming everything else works and that you made no mistakes and this thing starts rolling, in another 2 to 3 months, you're ready to reorder. And if it worked well, guess what? You're going to order more, right? Yeah. At no part in this. And now the whole thing is starting over on your second shipment. Right, so now we're on month 8. In nowhere in that breakdown, you said your name was Diana? Yeah. At no point in that breakdown does Diana grab any of that money and put it in her pocket. Yeah. But you pay taxes on it. The lottery. Having said that, I think it's a phenomenal way. It's a phenomenal way to make money, but I'm in some like mastermind chats, if you will, with some like verified, much bigger sellers, and we always look for like what is the thing that all of us have in common, or like that most sellers that succeed have in common. And succeed, I mean, go beyond making 100,000 in sales a year. You know, and almost every single person there had a job or another means of income while they were starting this other business, so that they could reinvest as much of the profits as possible into the business and grow it as fast as possible. But the recipe to kind of tread water forever or fail in your business is to try to grow a business at the same time as living off of it. Oh, yeah. Right? And that applies to almost every business that there is. It's just, you're like forever going to be in this no man's land. And there's one way, it's an easy way to break it. Get money from elsewhere and allow this money to stay in here and grow. Super easy on paper. But not to discourage you from private label. I think it's great. But so that you have, and it sounds like you have a good network of people around you that that are guiding you right. But my advice would be, I'm assuming you have another job. This isn't your full-time thing because it hasn't started, right? Okay, so you have another thing. I would say don't quit that. And so that you could reinvest everything into this.
Is this a good idea though? Like
private label?
Yeah.
I think so.
You know, it takes somebody to
like the majority of my life and lifestyle is supported off private label.
Just the beginning is a little rough because it takes time.
I like everything about that statement except the word little. When it comes to private label, it's a big risk and there's a reward later. It's not a little risk. It is a big risk that is the antonym of cash flow. Like,
but it's worth the risk, yes.
I think, okay, hold this. I'm going to answer it another way. This is an Amazon meetups, but I just want to shoot straight. Like, I'm going to launch another private label product. And it's going to be in Q1. Like, I've just decided, you know, to heck with this. I was going to do one in a reef tank space. I've decided I'm going to get into the DIY gummy space, not supplements. I'm talking about you're at home and you want to make some healthy gummies in all these different animal shapes for your kids, or as an adult, you just like gummies. Like they make you smile, right? Now, if you want to infuse them with CBD or anything, obviously you can, but I'm not trying to go for the word CBD. I'm not trying to go against Goli or any of these big supplement brands, none of that. This is gonna be in like the candy space, DIY gummy mix. And my motivation, my main motivation for every single thing I've sold on Amazon to date has been to make money. At first it was to be able to pay my phone bill, to be able to put gas, to be able to take my girlfriend on a date, to be able to get ribeye when I wanted from the store. And as I kept going, it became bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But there was always a motivation that was very like money-based, or like there was a materialistic thing that I wanted, or I wanted to remove this fear that I had going on in my life. There was always that. I don't have that in this one. So my main motivation for launching this one is I want a cool thing to be able to create content for so that I could get a brand and be fully transparent with everyone in the group on it. And they could see the good, the bad, and the ugly on it. And then for the content creation purpose, which along the way in my private label journey, I realized I really enjoy, I'm going to be able to scratch both itches. And then, yeah, I'll probably be able to sell the brand.
But if it's a supplement or anything like that, has to be manufactured here, right?
If it was a supplement, I'm not going to do supplements, but I don't.
Or what you thinking?
Yeah, this is sourced from the USA, and I'll touch a little bit on that.
Has to be, I mean, that's what I heard, like.
It's very easy to source from the United States.
Yeah, but it's not more, like a lot more expensive. I know somebody personally, no. I know somebody that is family or somebody who's making 6 million per month.
In what?
In supplements. And they're made here in the US.
Well, 6 million in supplements doesn't even put them in the upper percentile in supplements.
For me, even if it's 500, it would be great. But they always say that, it has to be, I don't know if it's a rule or it's a preference that supposed to be made here in the US, because if it's like, I mean, some people get it from Mexico or stuff like that, but people is, they don't trust that much if it's not made in the US. I don't know how true is that.
Yeah, so there's a lot. Oh, it's a great thing, and Amazon's really late to the game on this. There's a lot more like forced regulation, and they're not just choosing to do it, but there's a lot more like people are putting their boot down on Amazon saying, hey, this is enough's enough. Like, this thing's got ingredients that are just not even allowed, or these are false claims, or, and Amazon's now almost overreacting, but I think it's a good thing. They're almost like overreacting on the types of certifications and tests that need to be done, specifically around supplements. And supplements has always been like a very dirty space. As a matter of fact, the guys here from Rivley, they have an exit under their belt in a supplement space, but I think they would agree with me here. But it's a dirty, very highly competitive, cutthroat, you suspended from one day to the next type of thing for like space, very capital intensive. The profit margins are nice, but
Maybe I still have enough profit, like to make enough profit, because my goal is to make products for hair, and I have ideas, but I need the money for that, so I need to start with something that little by little can give me what I really,
Well, one of the 5, like today's topic is going to be the 5 easiest ways to start selling on Amazon. One of those topics in that 5 is going to be a fantastic way that you can start making money within the week, and will cost you nothing out of pocket, and you can make real money out of it. So like,
where's the catch?
there is none.
There's no.
I'll share it with you. Like, I'll share everything with you. Like when we get to it, there is none, and it didn't exist a few years ago. Otherwise, that's the only thing I think I would have done. But I'll share that, and then I'm going to share a bunch of the other models. So like that might solve part of the thing. So like, you want to sell this hair product. There's a lot of things you could be doing now to sell that private label hair product, which is a very competitive space. A very difficult space too, because like it falls into that thing, like if it doesn't do what you wanted to the hair, but its hair is different, or if it didn't give the look or whatever, they leave scathing reviews, and like reviews are very important in like topicals and hair products and supplements. Like, that's very important there.
I had a lot of faith on that, because was a recipe that my mom created a long time ago with a friend that he was Italian. He used to have like a hair product line, and she created her own little thing, and she never did anything with it. And she was applying to her hair.
I'm sure it's fantastic, and I'm trying to stay on a positive note today, but keep this in mind.
There's competition.
The highest quality products are not the best sellers on Amazon.
So it's the best that had the best marketing.
I would much, don't get me wrong, I want to have the highest quality product and be the best seller on Amazon. I think that's what you shoot for, but I'm after 15 years of doing this, I'm very good with product selection, and I know what works on Amazon and what a good listing looks like and good marketing is. And what wins on Amazon, or what is winning, is mediocre quality products, not flat 50% quality, 60, 70%, not 100% quality, but 67 mediocre products with phenomenal marketing, fantastic 3D renders and call outs, annotations, and like image optimizations. Like, with a mediocre product works. You get someone with a superior product, and they just get complacent, and they just get comfortable. It's like, I got the best product out there. Mine has more of X content in it than them. You think people read, right? Like you right, you set yourself up, and that's why you might see a lot of these like big brands. Like I heard it's called OXO, but I call them OXO. It's like this. Which one is it? Is it OXO or is it okay? Whatever. You know what I'm saying? OXO. They've got like thousands of units in their catalog. They sell in every single store that sells kitchen stuff, and they're one of the best sellers on Amazon. Their listings kind of stink, so they're succeeding in spite of themselves.
What about the reviews?
Great.
Good products.
Yeah, there are good products, right? But usually, though, it's mediocre products because they know they don't, or at least they don't believe that they have the highest quality product on the market, and they feel like they need to really stand out. Very true statement.
True.
And they do that through, they got to the finish line and they still had extra capital for. They didn't choose to skimp on the creative side of the listing. How about that? Or the family member was a bad you-know-what when it came to product photography and creative. And it's that little missing thing, that missing ingredient that when it gets added in, takes a mediocre product to.
That's what's happening with TikTok. You see a product there, I've been guilty of it. A product in TikTok, oh, it's amazing, and everybody's crazy about it. Then you go to Amazon and you see the reviews, and they are like 3 stars. But people is still buying that product, even if it's 3 stars. But the marketing is so good, it's so appealing that you want it just because.
Right. Bueno, this is part of our beginner hour. Those of you that are here, I guess some other people might be strolling in when as we go. But thank you for coming. You drove 45 minutes. We did 4.5 hours from Miami. So, and got pulled over. Yeah.
On the way up? Yeah.
Yeah, on the way up. To be fair, we were speeding, but 80 on Alligator Alley is not.
Low traffic.
Yeah, we were going 80 on Alligator Alley, was wide open. The on-ramp was coming on. A trooper came on with us.
Passed you.
No, we had a call, like, Emilio, where is Emilio? Oh, he's back out there. Emilio says, hey, trooper. So I put the blinker like I am going 80 to pass somebody. There was no time for him to really read. They just saw me pass a vehicle, and we got pulled over. But I think, admittedly, for going 80. So we got a warning, though, so that's good. Anyhow, so it was a fun time.
Thank you for driving with that.
Oh no, thank you for coming. Like I love doing this. So in the beginner hour, we try to cover like any questions that anybody has. So if you guys do have any, we can cover them. If not, I'll bring up like a few points that I think are important that have happened over the last few weeks, and then then we'll get into the topic, which is going to be pretty straightforward. It's going to be what I feel are the 5 easiest ways to start selling on Amazon. I'm going to throw a 6th one in there that is kind of related to Amazon. You hinted at it a second ago. That's not Amazon specific. That we'll cover a bit. Hopefully next month we could add a 7th platform in there with Rivly, right? But as of right now, we're not going to add it to the mix. And the idea is exactly that. So for anybody that's maybe currently selling and you're looking for a easier additional way to start an additional thing, or if you're just starting and you're looking for the easiest way to start, and I think you should. I don't think you should pick the hardest thing possible to try to make some money. So that's kind of what we're going to do now. You guys, are you already selling?
I am.
You're already selling. So been selling for a while.
Yeah, 3 years.
Okay, good. That's a lot. 3 years is a lot.
I'm happy, but
Huh?
I'm happy about driving.
That's fantastic. If you're happy at 3 years, that's an excellent sign. Yeah, most people don't make it 3 years.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
It's scary.
that's true.
yeah, it's true.
It's very.
Multiple models too.
Yeah. Oh, you do multiple? Sure. You mind sharing a little bit?
I have a,
You don't have to, but
yeah, I have $1 million dropshipping business.
okay.
I have a small 2-3 brands private label. I'm also doing online arbitrage and retail arbitrage, kind of wholesale. It's going good.
Okay, so a reseller.
Yeah.
So I've been selling full time for 15 years. You're the first person that I've met that, if I heard you right, that I've met in person on YouTube. I see them everywhere selling courses, but you're the first person I've met in person that has said that they have $1 million dropshipping business.
Yeah.
Right. Normally, so now whenever I tell people this, I feel like I need to re-say it because until now I've only met people online who claim to be making $1 million doing dropshipping, but they also happen to sell. They also sell like a very high ticket dropshipping course. Do you also sell dropshipping courses?
No.
Right. So it's very unique here.
Yeah.
Right. Normally they're making millions of dollars, and I'm like, yeah, you're selling a $10,000 course that has no cost, and if you sell how many per day for a year, you're okay. So you're actually making it drop shipping.
Yeah.
So, yeah, before leaving today, I'd love to get your information because I'd like to.
I'm already in Telegram groups.
You are.
Yeah.
And what's your name?
Bura.
Yes.
Yeah, remember?
Yes, I do remember. Okay, awesome. Thank you, bro. Yourself?
No, I'm not selling yet.
Pushing him to start.
Yeah.
Oh, so you guys know each other.
So I did actually graduate with their marketing from USF, and I know a lot about. I work with companies that does digital marketing and things like that. But Amazon was always on the corner because we did partner with one of my friends to do the watch business, and then we started in San Diego. But that was mainly like from our website directly, so organic traffic mostly, and it was a niche market. So it was custom-made watches that Swiss made. That's that kind of experience I have, but not the Amazon selling. So me and him, we've been friends since like 10, 15 years.
Okay.
And then he moved here, so I live in Tampa too, so it's very good to see him.
Where'd you move from? Turkey.
Yeah.
You got a lot of friends in Turkey.
Just came here like few months ago.
Permanently?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I have a lot of friends in Turkey. Turkey's amazing.
Let's go.
Yeah. Was your family affected at all with the earthquakes that happened? The earthquakes? There was some earthquakes that.
We were in the West Coast.
Oh, you're from Turkey as well.
Yeah, Istanbul.
Oh, so you're friends in Turkey and you both came here.
Oh yeah, that's where we met in the high school, and then I came here 10 years
That's
ago.
freaking awesome.
And then he's like, hey, I'm coming to Tampa. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
You ready for it?
Okay. Well, this one of the things I wanted to share in the beginner hour before getting into the topic. You might actually be perfect to like bounce with me on this. Again, we don't do politics or anything here, but the government recently announced I guess it's not something that's taking effect right now, but they're trying to implement and I'll share my opinion on this. They're trying to implement basically, it sounds like removing the loopholes that come with the de minimis shipping. You should be very familiar with this topic, yeah? Which seems like would be an extinction level thing for Shein, Temu, and those types of things. When I hear drop shipping, I imagine that type of model. It's stuff coming from China. So
Actually, I have fully automated business. My source is Amazon.com.
So you source from Amazon. That's freaking amazing.
Yeah, so it's less risk also because you also have as a consumer yourself, you can still return the payment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got a rabbit hole, and this might be just good topic to talk about at the beginner on here, but
I'm here to learn, so.
Yeah, no, I love an opportunity to be able to learn something myself. So, and drop shipping, I'm like sign of the cross on this thing. Like I'm so anti drop shipping, but I'm also very pro making money. There's a guy, I don't know if you remember him, Andres. You might know the name. He's in the Miami meetup group, and that's all he does is drop shipping. He thinks the other model that exists on Amazon is just for dumb people. And what he does is he gets products that are on Amazon and he marks them up and lists them on like Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp. I'm assuming this is a different model than you.
Yeah, kind of same.
And then when he gets a sale, and I was like, who buys a brand new who buys a brand new pair of frames on Facebook Marketplace at full price with shipping? Well, not full price, a markup. But when you get the sale, imagine these things are $20. He does them for 26, 25, or I don't know, whatever. He just goes over to his Prime account and ships them to the person that bought them.
Brilliant.
He just takes a markup. And
People actually buy them.
a lot of people buy them.
It's like going to Amazon. I mean, it's amazing.
It's a lot of people buy them, and it's, well, let me say this, it's not that a lot of his stuff sells, and this is, chime in here, like, it's not that all his stuff sells. A very tiny percentage of the stuff he has listed actually sells. But he has the entire catalog at his disposal that he could list.
Zero risk.
It was zero risk. He also, I think, does other countries as well. Like he hasn't just limited himself to the United States, but that's just bonkers to me. That I want to know the person, and if it's any of you guys, you can admit it, but I'd like to know the person that goes to Facebook Marketplace as their first choice to look for products, finds a pair of frames, and says, yeah, I want them shipped to me, and I'm not going to look anywhere else on the web, which they would be cheaper. And they just buy them. Who is that? Huh?
Simple-minded consumers. So I think-
Simple-minded is a euphemism for?
Well, now, I think this way, people also, like there's, in the psychology, they also differentiate two different parts. So we do have consumers that who just purchase whenever they're the most convenient and then the time efficient. So instead of, if it's $20 or $15, there's a bracket that is $75 a bracket for most of the consumers. If it's less than that bracket, they don't want to spend more time to look for it. If that's the one, if it has the, return label and things like that, if they get a couple of the sentences or some words, they're okay to convince. But for us, for you, for most of us probably here, you wouldn't go to Facebook Marketplace to find a pair of glasses or with the specific brand. So I think it's just changes the perspective. But when I was researching, that was the major thing. That saying that simple-minded people did it, and also they don't want to spend more time. That's why they see it, okay, they just jump on it. So they don't want to research it. But if you know that there's deals, if you know that you can get 10% more from the Macy's, same thing at the Dillard's, then you might want to go to Dillard's right next to each other.
That's just wild to me.
Kind of
I agree.
emotional.
Right, so you guys definitely don't fit the stereotype that I had in my mind of drop shippers like that. When you said automated drop shipping, that's every red flag in the book for me, right? But you, how much time per week do you put into it?
Full-time job for
It is a full-time job,
I
right?
have a team.
Okay, so that will,
3 more persons.
so you're not saying, you said 10 more people,
3.
3. So you don't have a full-time, so you don't have an automated drop shipping business that only requires 1 hour a month per, okay, go ahead.
You see,
Sounds more real now.
It sounds a little realer now. You're actually saying there's a lot of work there, so.
if you want to earn like 2,000 a month, it can be, but not for me.
And $1 million requires, yeah, that makes sense. Your margins are what? What's your profit margin?
Around 5% to 15%
Right,
exchange. But I have too much product in my store.
too much.
Yeah.
So that's a good problem to have though in a dropshipping business, right? Like you have a lot of selection.
Also, there's
It's a bad problem if you bought the inventory and the money's tied up in the product in your warehouse, but if it's a dropshipping business,
Yeah. There are also tons of regulations. Depends on the countries.
so you do sell in other countries.
Yeah.
Okay.
From Amazon.com to Canada, Mexico,
To
sometimes Japan.
wow. Okay. We'll get back on track.
This young generations, I don't know.
It's yeah.
Genius.
I might be able to top you with one of the models that we'll talk about, and I'm gonna try to do it like this. So, I have 5 different models that I'm gonna talk about to sell on Amazon. Two of them, full transparent, and I'll say this as we go through. Two of them are not. I would consider them more ways to sell on Amazon if you just wanted to make a few $1,000. And again, not to minimize a few $1,000 extra per month, but if you wanted to make a few $1,000 extra per month, you could, and they would be work to do. These would work, but nothing. They're not going to make you an amount of money like, say, what you hear you can make with private label. Or, I mean, 10% of $1 million, you're making $100,000 a year on your drop shipping business, roughly. Yeah, so they're not going to do that. Then the third and fourth one, Those are where you start making significant money. But I'm going to save the last one to be what I would call the absolute easiest one. That's going to be we'll kind of call it the grand finale. That's the one I was telling you about that you're like, what's the catch? I'll share that one last. And that's what we'll do with the 5. The 6th one I'll start with in the beginning. It's not an Amazon one, but I'm going to say right now it's just nuts how much I'm seeing, how easy it is for people to sell right now. And that is TikTok Shop. So, right. Again, it's not an Amazon one. It's not going to count as the 5 that I bring up today, but people with no skills whatsoever right now are just selling really, really nicely on TikTok Shop. This could go in so many different directions about selling on TikTok Shop, but the one that I'll just put out there to bring it back to Amazon is within the Amazon space, there's a model we call the Amazon Wholesale model. And it's hot in here, right?
Yeah, let me see.
If Andres got near the thermostat, he would have raised it.
No.
Yeah, so it's warm, right? Okay, so with the Amazon wholesale business, you're contacting you're finding a brand or a distributor, you're contacting them, you're convincing them to sell to you. You look at their pricing sheet, and you see, oh, I can buy X amount of these things at $5 or $10, and I can sell them at a higher price, and after Amazon fees, I'm left with a profit. One of the biggest obstacles for getting a lot of accounts to say yes to you is more and more of them want to control how they appear on Amazon. So they don't want you to sell their product on Amazon. They don't want to deal with Amazon sellers. There's still a massive percentage that will allow you, so that's why that model is still a good one. But the majority that do say no, that they don't want a reseller selling their product on Amazon, they have no issues whatsoever with you selling their product on TikTok, right? As a matter of fact, most of them will ask you flat out, like, are you gonna sell my product on Amazon? They don't ask you anything about TikTok. And as long as you tell them no, that you're not, and then you truly don't, they have no issues where you sell the product at all. So these products that are just proven to sell really, really well and have a ton of baked in search, all you need to do is buy them and list them on TikTok Shop. And they just literally move fantastically. If you need to jumpstart sales on TikTok Shop, one of the easiest things is when you list the product, to go into the back end and just say, it's like a hidden percentage that you're willing to give away of the product per sale every time it sells, that people shopping on TikTok Shop don't see, but that creators on the TikTok platform, from their login, they see it. So imagine you're selling these frames and you're reselling them, and you can buy them for 20 and you can sell them on TikTok Shops for 70. When you create this listing, you put in there, I'm willing to give away $20 per sale every time a creator on TikTok sells one of my frames. So you list it. A whole bunch of creators love $20 per sale, because that's a nice little payday for a sale. So they start creating a whole bunch of content. You're not having to find them to create the content. You're not having to pay them if it doesn't sell. You don't have to track them down and send them a payroll, nothing like that. TikTok automatically follows it. And the majority of the creators I find that will create content for these frames, creators know their audience, they know how to create content that sells. So it's a huge win every time they create a piece of content and it sells these glasses and somebody clicks on their TikTok Shop and they buy it. They automatically make money on it. So it's a great way to get a lot of exposure to your TikTok Shop and jumpstart sales on TikTok. But anyhow, TikTok right now, you can list almost anything and at an almost anything price, which is wild, and get sales. I think you were hinting at that's the experience you've had as well, like it sells for more on TikTok. Yeah? Yeah.
Yes. But I don't know, but in order for your product to sell, it has to be somebody with a lot of followers, or it doesn't matter?
I mean, if the followers are actually followers, then that definitely helps. But I've seen most of the people I've seen didn't really have
That many?
that many followers, and the thing that they did was so silly, you almost wonder if it was an accident. There are like some common themes, but like my wife and I took this TikTok influencer course because we have a YouTube channel called Angelina and Carlos, and it's about our kids and our kids' YouTube channel. It broke over 100,000 subs. So we were looking at different things to do from the creator side of things as an influencer. And my wife stumbled on this one lesson that I skipped because I thought it wasn't that important. But it was like one of the ways to easily go viral. And I hate saying that in a sentence because I feel like it's so like spammy to say that. Like you can't really control that something will go viral. But in this case, it's you do it enough times, and you will on TikTok currently, is to just make a mistake. Like just talk about, like imagine these were red frames. Something as simple as, my black binoculars are amazing. I wear them every time I go out to drive. I used to struggle. And then everything else say normal. But because somebody, a lot of bodies on TikTok want to let you know how stupid you are and kind of berate you and make you feel different, they put all that stuff in the comments. And the more activity there is in the comments, the algorithm goes nuts on it. So if you're willing to do something embarrassing, it totally works. The other one, and this is not directed at you, I'll use my wife as an example, I guess, but
I can feel my life. I can make a lot of money.
right, you just film your life, right? Like naturally, right? Have like a camera chasing around Andres all day and all the mistakes he makes, and like, so like the other one is, and again, this one's not directed at you. I'm going to use my wife as an example, but there's an old adage that sex sells, and anything that looks remotely sexy sells. If I needed to sell these frames and I had a script, I could get a guy and a woman, and they could be guy frames, they could be frames for guys, but I can get a woman and a guy to say the same script holding these glasses in the same way, and my conversion is just better with the woman doing it. It's just, I've tested this a bazillion times. You could say the reason is whatever you think it is. It's just a fact. Right. I think we're in agreement. Yes? Okay. She's not saying yes or no, so I'm trying not to be like.
No. What I'm thinking is about something else.
So there are several people on TikTok, and I'm going to say it was done in the classiest way, but as a marketer, I feel like I can look at something like I know why that worked. Like I could usually figure out like why that worked, and they're holding a pickle. And they're talking about how amazing this pickle is. You should buy this pickle. It is a sweet pickle because it's like a sweet sauce that's in this pickle, and they're talking about it. Or there will be one that's a candy pickle, and it's like there's, believe it or not, there's a type of pickle that's stuffed with sweets. It sounds disgusting, but you can look this up. Like you can fact check it. And when you bite into the pickle, you have the outer shell of a pickle, and the inside is a sweet candy. So you get a person biting into a pickle on screen, right? So you get some of this stuff. So my wife's unintentionally done some stuff and like reviewing some products and stuff like that, and you go back and look, and you're like, I'm thinking like, why did this thing work? And then I go back and look at it, and you realize, oh yeah, if I would have done that, it'd have been no issue. But you're a woman and you did it, and it just like went berserk. So changes everything.
And a lot of times also it's because as a woman, you know, if there's a woman in any woman or a woman like me, example, or
Sure.
any woman, I'm taking myself as an example because I'm the only one here.
Yes.
Yes. So
I was trying to be nicer on the topic because you are the only one here. That's what it was.
I'm the only one. So if I am selling something, a lot of times and I'm saying, you know, by studies, because somebody I know goes through all the studies and they invest a lot of money in that stuff. A lot of times the ones that click the most in products are women. Even though can be,
Sure.
I'm not saying that I'm pretty, but if it's a pretty woman right there, you know, guys can be like, oh, let me see. But the ones that look more and buy more are actually woman to woman.
Yeah.
Because we like to compare ourselves. So,
Yeah.
oh, let me see her. That's me. If I do something and I like her hair. What she do to her? She's selling something. I want to buy that.
Yep.
Because I like her hair. It's not like a competition, I would say, but it's something that.
It's not, but it is.
It's exactly.
All right.
It's like, okay, I want, you know, that shirt. Oh, I like that shirt. I want to look like that. You know.
Yeah,
A lot of more exposure. I I don't know why. but it happens.
I totally get it. I think there's a million different reasons why it works, but in reality, that's why it works. So I say all that to say there's a lot of ways you could jumpstart your product on TikTok. Anywhere, it's just the types of eyeballs that are on TikTok. This is a way to come close to, but basically, I think if you did this like 10 times, one would go viral. And in your case, probably half of them. like,
Because of my mistakes.
no, but like, you just put a few factors together. So, okay, so that's TikTok. So now let's get into Amazon ones, but don't look over the TikTok one. Let's get into some Amazon ones. So the first one, and this one's changed a lot over the years. This is not I'm going to call it print on demand, right? There is an Amazon component, so this is loosely Amazon, but there is one called Merch by Amazon. I've learned a bunch about print on demand over the last like 6 to 8 months. We had Alex that came out here to present not too long ago. He's going to come back. He's like a print on demand master. I would imagine print on demand is a cool model for someone that's into drop shipping because there's like no holding inventory. But there's platforms now out there that are just absolutely wild. Like you think of print on demand and you're imagining a shirt and it has a logo printed on it, or in the salsa business, we still have the one that was like just out of salsa class instead of straight out of Compton. Right. It says straight out of salsa class or straight out of bachata class. And this thing was created 2018 and may still occasionally get sales, like with no additional work. But it goes beyond that, like with these like gelatos and all these other platforms out there that are now integrating with Amazon. You can do it on shower curtains. You can do print on demand on jewelry. You can do it on anything, actually. I mean, the stuff that's out there is just blows your mind. Baseball gloves, bats. I mean, you can get customized anything done to this stuff. And you could have a catalog of tens of thousands of products, not have to have invested anything in inventory. My take on that, though, is when you hear print on demand, you're imagining you just print it, you post it on your Shopify site, and you magically get sales, and that's not how it goes, right? There is an advertising component there that if you don't get right, you either don't get sales, or worse, you do get sales, but they're unprofitable, and you're actually like losing money. I don't know if you do any advertising on the Shopify side, no? Okay. I'm hating you little by little, I'm hating you more. No, I'm just kidding. There's an advertising component that's pretty tricky, but there's some cool opportunities you could do for niches that I've learned from Alex. So I wouldn't write that one off. If you go at the one that's just on Amazon, I would say in the beginning, expect to not make a bunch of money. Like right now, it's extremely saturated. If you do use a tool like Merch Informer, though, what Merch Informer will, you use Merch Informer still under this or no? No. What Merch Informer will allow you to do is it'll allow you to use a filter for Amazon and say something like, okay, within print-on-demand shirts or apparel, what is the #1 bestseller for, XYZ search term? So Halloween is coming up. Let's say you're like, okay, if you just say Dracula, that's going to be like, well, how many Dracula shirts are there going to freaking be out there? That's a lot of shirts. That's a lot of competition. But what about a dabbing Dracula, right? Like doing the dab. I don't know. How do you do the dab? Is it something like, oh yeah, so the dabbing Dracula. Or maybe a dabbing Dracula with a MAGA hat. You know what I mean? Like a red hat, and it's very controversial. So 50% of the people will never buy from you, but you have 50% that might want to buy just because it has it on. And it's a dabbing Dracula with a freaking MAGA hat on. So like, it's really cool. It's a really cool way to put a bunch of stuff out there, and you'd be able to see what's working and what's not, and then just do a lot of that. Again, in the beginning, you're not going to make a bunch, but if you were to treat this like a business, the few people I know that do, treat this like a business and put a bunch of time into this, usually around the 4 to 6 month mark, they're able to pay off their mortgage. If you treat this as like every now and then I put a design up there, then it's not, you'll be happy when you see something come in, but it's not going to be anything like really consistent.
But the key would be like then marketing, so it's more exposure.
What I think the key would be with print on demand is to pick a niche. And I would say that's definitely the key with Amazon. And then after speaking to Alex a lot from the group, from our group, but from the Miami chapter, niching is definitely the way to go. So find a niche that already is doing well at this thing, and then just reverse engineer it and market it in the same. Going wide and having all these random things seems to be like a recipe for disaster in most businesses. But I would, if print on demand is something you want to do, and if you wanted to do something beyond, say, you know, like $2,000 a month on it, I could connect you with Alex. But if you just stayed consistent and kept posting and focused on a specific niche, I'd say at around the 4 or 5 month mark, you should be able to cover your mortgage with something like that. And that's right. So like, I think, yeah, but I need to emphasize, this is not putting up like 1 design a week or 2 designs a week. This is like, and most people just don't do that. Like, I don't do that, you know? Okay, so print on demand, specifically merch by Amazon. The second one, this one is a lot easier to make a few $1,000s a month. And as we go, these are going to be bigger and bigger dollar amounts that you can make, but so is the risk and the difficulty that's involved with them. So the second one, and guys, don't roll your eyes on this one yet, because I'm going to back it up, but it's KDP. So it's Kindle Direct Publishing on it, right? So you do not have to write a book, right? Or you could write a book like my friend back here and not put his name on it as the author, which Andres, a true story he did back there. You're the author of what book? The Ultimate Guide to Pokemon Go. Right. Yeah. So, yeah, no, Emilio, it's true.
You just got me with that.
He did. He wrote the book and forgot to put his name on it as the author. Like, the book is out there, does not have his name on it. As egotistical as he is, he forgot his name as the author.
He's making revenue out of it.
So what happens here is you open an account at KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, kdp.amazon.com. It is free. Then what you need to do is you need to upload books. And I am not talking about writing a book. You can get a VA, you can get a topic, and now with ChatGPT, like you can get a topic, write a book on it, and we can call this the 10 most important things you need to know to grow tomatoes indoors, right? Like, I mean, and imagine you want to put like 20 of these books out because you're going to launch a product that has to do with ingrown tomatoes, in-house, homegrown tomatoes, not ingrown. It sounds like an ingrown toenail. No, like a homegrown tomatoes, right? So that would be one. I find that one is not a great way to make money. Everyone's doing it, right? Now, this is where you make money with the Kindle Direct Publishing. And by the way, you make money every time somebody buys a book, and then Amazon pays you a royalty on that book. Then they pay you a royalty based on how many pages a person read in that book, because if they get it and they never read it, you only make one payment. But if they read the whole thing, you get paid as they read it. Absolutely, can be printed. So Kindle Direct Publishing is a Kindle, but on kdp.amazon.com, you also can have it printed out as a paperback book. And that's where it starts getting exciting, especially now that there is AI. So you don't want to just create this AI-generated book. You want to create activity books, and this is where you make the money on Amazon. And I've been picking on Andres. It's a passion of mine, so I'm going to keep doing that. So Andres is a dancer. He loves to dance.
Oh my God, really?
What's the name of the business you own?
Oh my God.
Salsa Kings. How long you been in that scene? 20 years? Okay, so he's a dancer.
Like in family here, you're fine.
Yeah. I met my wife through salsa dancing. But so he's a big time dancer. That's what he does. So he yeah. So he's a dancer, and he's like, you know what? What he likes to do in his spare time is crossword puzzles. But he doesn't want to do crossword puzzles about sports and other activities. He wants to do crossword puzzle about, you know, Latin composers of different music. So he could go on ChatGPT and say, give me a list of the top 100 songs in 2024, or top 1,000 songs in 2024 in the salsa niche. He gets the list. And then he says, break these into sets of 20, right? Then you go over to, you go over to BookBolt. It's a tool called BookBolt, bookbolt.io. You go to bookbolt.io and you go to crossword puzzle books. word search books, Sudoku. You go to any of these types of puzzle activity books that you want, and then you say, I want to create a 12-page book on a 12-page word search book. And then you upload the ChatGPT list into the Excel file and say, scramble these answers into a word search and make it X amount of pages long, with the first 20 pages being the word search and the next 20 pages being the answers. That's simple. Within an hour, you have a book published on Amazon. And it is a unique book. Pick any niche you want. Pick top 100 places to go to break your fast after Ramadan in Miami. You know what I mean? Like, you can pick anything. And just have these things scrambled and put it in the word searches, put it in the crosswords, put it in the crossword puzzles. Like, it does all that for you. Then just go over to Fiverr.com and create a piece of cover art, like a book cover. Or have ChatGPT create it. Put it over on BookBolt, upload it, and your book's available. Within an hour, it's available on Amazon. You're not going to pay your mortgage and make a few $1,000s off one book. But why would you, if it took you 2.5 hours to create a book this way, like, why would you not just create a whole bunch of books? I find the spot when you start making, and I use mortgage as an example because that's usually when you're starting that first bill, that if you can get that off your back, it makes things a lot easier. It usually takes about 15 to 20 books. It can take one, but it usually takes about 15 to 20 books this way that you've done, but you're not out any money. You're out your ChatGPT 4, if you even need 4 for this, but like, you're out your ChatGPT 4 subscription, and you're out, I think it's $25 to $40 on your BookBolt monthly. That's it. Like, jam out all 20 books in the first month, and then if you want to unsubscribe, go for it. Yeah.
One question from online.
Sorry.
Do you need to be registered as a business in order to do Amazon KDP, or can you do it as an individual?
No, you can do it as an individual. Yeah, you can do Amazon KDP as an individual. Now, I dropped out of elementary school. I eventually got my GED. I just happened to do very, very good selling at Amazon. So my disclaimer here is that you should talk to your lawyer and your bookkeeper and your accountant, because in my opinion, if you're going to start something to make money, you should create an LLC. But yes, you can go on and do it as an individual. But every time I've tried to start something as an individual, I usually get my hand slapped by my bookkeeper, my accountant, my wife, who's a CPA. Somebody tells me, like, why on God's green earth would you do this and not be able to, like, you just can't write off as much, you know? So I think you should create an LLC to do the KDP account, but yes, you can totally be as an individual and use your social security number and get clobbered in taxes at the end of the year.
Is there like it's gonna be recorded? Because I have some notes here, but I would like to listen to it again. So
This is going to be recorded. As a matter of fact, happy you asked. Yes, this will be recorded. You will be able to go on YouTube, Wizards of Ecom, and this entire thing is going to be available immediately after this class. You'll be able to watch it. So, yeah. And if you leave a comment, it's highly appreciated. A thumbs up, a subscribe, all that is super appreciated. Yeah. And I'm the only one that answers it. And I get a lot of emails, I get a lot of messages, but when I see someone messaging me on YouTube, like, I don't know if you're the same way, like, I drop everything. Like, YouTube is hard. So when somebody's like messaging you there, like, it's me answering, like, I'm there. I might even drop a Loom link to, like, show you how to go into BookBolt and do this. So yeah, so BookBolt, easy way to do this. I think more people are not doing that. If that sounds too easy for you, like too good to be true, the reason most people are not doing it is similar to, like, what's your name again? Buddha. If Buddha hadn't been here, and you, Efren, if Buddha and Ephraim hadn't been here, I probably would be telling, and somebody else asked me about drop shipping, I would say, that's a scam. That's but you learn every day. Most people that talk about KDP, they're talking about creating a ChatGPT book on a weird subject, uploading it, and this is how you make millions. That's BS, right? There was a very small window many years ago that there was like a scam you could do. Amazon paid you per download on the book, not whether you read the book or not. So you could create an ebook, put it out there, and everybody that downloaded it, Amazon would pay you like $1. Amazon would pay you like $1. So they created these systems where, like, tens of thousands of people would come in and you were getting paid for fake people. But that is a scam. So it was such a bad scam that anytime the subject comes up, there's this knee-jerk reaction to like, oh, beware, red flag, but completely legit thing to do. As a matter of fact, I highly recommend. I don't know why people don't put out like 40, 50 books out there and do it. And any book that does good, especially now with ChatGPT, why don't you do it in Spanish, French, Turkish? I mean, any freaking language you want. Just edit it, hit upload. So perfect.
The challenge that I have with that subject, because I've seen a little bit of that. I use ChatGPT for a few things, and then I had a video AI subscription too.
Yeah.
But it helps with all this. It's just sometimes my challenge is like how to start or where to start. Like, what is the process?
What is the process within ChatGPT, or what is the process to execute on one of the things that we're talking about from start to finish?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like.
What my opinion is on that is it's more about accountability. Like if you had someone that I could be totally wrong. This is my opinion. I'm not attacking or anything like that. So like, if you and I met at a start, like if we were neighbors and we were like, you know what, every morning we're gonna meet at Starbucks at 9 a.m. and you're gonna tell me about the progress you made on this big goal that you have of putting, a Kindle direct publishing book out using this system. You would, no matter what's going on, you would figure that out so that the next morning you could show me progress. And you never would stop. And if you did that, in less than a week, you would have a book out. So this meetup, we've been doing it for 10 years. So we've, at this point, I guess it's hundreds of thousands. It feels weird to say that, but like hundreds of thousands of people have come through and I've talked to them. And to me, it really comes down to accountability, because it's like there's all these different moving parts and you kind of need to know the order. But it's also really, the order, you just need the motivation to have, like, if you knew the motivation was tomorrow morning, you want to impress me with your progress against my progress, I bet you would do it. So maybe get an accountability partner, join the Telegram chat that we have and just go in there. It sounds easy, but it's hard because no one does it. Go in there and say, I am looking for an account. Who else here wants to put out a book on KDP and wants to be an accountability buddy with me? On Telegram even, and here's the rules. Every morning, we got to go into your chat. You have to chime in on what you've done. And you cannot come back and say, I didn't make any progress. That's the rule. And let's do that for 30 days. You would have several books out. I promise you would.
That's a good idea. And to me, I think, like you were saying earlier, pick a niche.
Yeah.
Because so many, you go through YouTube and there's so many ideas and people, I don't know if it's true or not, but they're, promising, oh, you do this and you have this and it's thousands of ideas, so it's difficult to pick which one is the real one sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think they're all real, but they're not for everybody is a better way to say it. Like, depending on how much capital, like which one of these models should you pick? You could do all of them, and that would be the worst thing to do, is try to do all of them. But how much capital are you willing to risk or invest, whatever word sits better with you, into this new business idea? How much time do you have per week that you could put into this after and still keep all of your other obligations and have a life, right? And then what is the goal you need to hit to make this worthwhile? And then finally, do you have any soft skills? Soft skills would be, you're like this crazy, amazing video editor. We probably want to leverage that somewhere in all of this, but that's really it. So first two, so we had POD, we had KDP, so those are two. The next one I call PL Wholesale Hybrid. So it's hybrid. It's a hybrid model of selling that I absolutely love. And what it does is it takes the best from the resale wholesale world and discards the worst. And then it takes the best of private label and discards the worst, including the majority of the heavy risk. Some people that do the PL wholesale hybrid model, wholesale PL hybrid model, never leave because it's a great model. I think that's a mistake too. With this model, and I'll explain more of what it is and how to get started, but with this model, it truly is sky's the limit. Like this could be a multi-7-figure, multi-million-dollar gross sales brand. And what it is I'll give you a few examples. If you want to get into the Amazon wholesale model, which if you're not familiar with it, again, it's not you wholesaling your products. It's in Andres's dance studio. He has a style of tango dance shoes called the Dreezy, right? So he likes to sell people his Dreezys. So I know that he sells them for $200 to people that wander through his studio. And I know that he sells them wholesale for $100. So if I'm buying them from him and I sell them for $200 on Amazon, I'm going to make a little bit of a profit. So that's what wholesaling means on Amazon, right? Pop Secret popcorn. I think anyone that eats popcorn is familiar with Pop Secret popcorn. It's the microwave popcorn we put in. Probably one of the hottest selling popcorns on Amazon. They will sell to you wholesale. The thing is, the price that they will sell it to you at doesn't leave a really nice profit margin there. And on top of that, you need to share the buy box on Amazon with like 80 other people. So very little money in profit per sale and very few sales because you're sharing it with so many other people that are also selling the same product. However, if you go to AliExpress and you get, and this is so that's the wholesale side, wholesaling Pop Secret. You go to AliExpress, now we're getting into the PL part of this hybrid, and you look for food grade disposable gloves, right? They're not even a penny. I don't know how to say the number, but it's like a tenth of a penny, like is what these gloves sell for. And they add no weight, so they weigh significantly less than your Pop Secret popcorn. If you put them together and now call these butter blocking gloves for someone that wants to eat popcorn and not get butter on their fingers, right? Small percentage of people, but there is people that don't want to do this. And you put them together, you now have a hybrid listing. Since your gloves cost more than the popcorn itself, when you list the product on Amazon, it gets to be listed under your brand, not listed as Pop Secret. Now, there's bear with me here because there's some moving parts here. So, huge benefits here. If you were to create your own brand of popcorn and list it on Amazon, it would be on page 100. And the joke is that page 2 is the best place to bury a body because no one goes there, right? Maybe that's different in the drop shipping model, but so no one goes to page 2. So in this case, though, from day one, your listing on Amazon is allowed to have the word Pop Secret in the title, which means you're coming up high in search. And you structure your listing, you take your photos, you create a brand name, you get a brand store, you get all the benefits, it's your brand. I can give you an example if you wanted to go look on Amazon of a brand that does this, and if you search for Buy the Cup Amazon, you will pull up their branded storefront. And maybe I'll do it while we're talking and spin it around and pass the computer around. But what so here we go. God, I look at this and I just get like it gets me excited. Like there's so many opportunities when you now there's like people copying now. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'll pass this around so you can look at it, but you'll see that, I'll point it out to you and you look at some of their stuff, but you see how they have Coffee Mate, coffee creamer, and that little spoon?
Oh, okay.
They just added that little spoon.
Mm-hmm.
You could look at any of these. The creamer, and they added a spoon, and they...
Want me to look you up or no?
Huh? No, that's all right. It probably takes a minute, right?
Okay.
But if you, for other people that want to see it, for some of their tea pods that they get from like Twinnings, again, huge brand in the tea space, same situation, a lot of competition, low profit margins. They put a pack of honey. People like honey in their tea. So The honey is their private label thing. The twinnings on the wholesale side is the wholesale part of it. You're taking it, the benefit here is you're taking advantage of a globally known brand that people know, like, and trust, that has the social proof and is part of your listing now, which elevates your listing and makes it easier to convert. So you get more traffic on day one, greater conversions on day one, and it's your brand. What I recommend, highly recommend, is even though you could contact these brands and get them to say yes, get their permission to do this. Like, technically you could open the brand, get the product, and create these listings unbeknownst to them. I think that's an unnecessary risk, because at some point they could say, who is this person and how are they getting this stuff, and they cut you off. There's no point in doing that. In business, period, and I know you guys know this, but like, relationships are everything. You wanna, they don't say no. That's the ironic thing. If you'd ask them if you could sell their product, and some of them directly on Amazon yourself, they might not want that. But if you're saying you're gonna create a completely different listing and not interrupt their sales and their flow on Amazon, they all say yes. One other example of the hybrid wholesale PL model in action is, you're familiar with those ramen soup packs, the squares, not the cups? So you buy them in a box of like 24, and they'll be like chili flavor or like shrimp or like these different ones. What some people have done, and you can totally do this, is they opened a wholesale account with ramen noodles. Anybody can do this. And then they said, well, let's get 4 of this one and 4 of this flavor and put together a variety pack, right? And then let's go to AliExpress, let's go to Alibaba, and let's buy chopsticks that cost nothing, and add a pack of 24 chopsticks to the box of ramen noodle soups. Because you put the chopsticks, it is now your brand on Amazon. So I think I've hammered that point home enough. One of the best things about this, beyond the extra eyeballs and the social proof from day one on the listing, the fact that you're forced now to partner with a very reputable person in the space like ramen. The other one is, the downside of private label is how much money it costs to start. When I first started doing this, I could pull off a line of cigar cutters for $3,500. This might be an unpopular opinion, but in my opinion, you need $30,000 to $50,000 to start a private label product right now. And I could back that up with why it could cost that, with, you know, all the different things that you must have to start one. There's a lot of, I'm gonna say, BS on the internet on somebody that has a software that they need to appeal to the broadest amount of people, that are saying that you could start a private label thing with like $1,000 or like $3,000 or $5,000. It's not the reality. So the good thing with the PL, the wholesale PL hybrid model, is getting these smaller additional products from Alibaba is nothing. It's quick, barely costs any money. And on the other part of the hybrid, the wholesale side, the twinnings, the Coffee Mate, the Pop Secret, they have very low MOQs and they sell at low wholesale prices. So the easiest way to start getting into private label would be some sort of hybrid model like this one. It would allow you to quickly start, unlike the timeline I gave you earlier. You could be up and running in a month. Well, you could have a product being shipped around that you need in a month, and in 2 months selling, assuming you like hit the ground running as soon as you left here and you got that accountability buddy and all that. So, great way to get started. Low cost, remove most of the risk. You're actually starting a brand that's yours, that can't just be yanked away. And you do high 7 figures, multi 7 figures on Amazon. You had a question?
Yeah, but logistic-wise, I'm not into this, so I don't know how that would work, because you need the product from Alibaba, and then you have this product that is already selling. So how that works to put the boom.
So the logistics and putting them together, that's great. I keep saying AliExpress, but that's just a throwback of how long I've been selling. It's actually Alibaba guaranteed. So you get, with Alibaba guaranteed, you get low quantity products that are already, like, for example, chopsticks, like we said. You could get 500 sets, 200 sets, like, cost you a couple bucks, shipped to you. You'd receive them within 2 weeks. To you. Right, well, depends, there's a lot of ways to go. I'm saying this as a beginner, how I did it. I didn't know what a 3PL or a third-party logistics company, I didn't know what any of that was for years. So, like, I shipped it to me, and it was assembled on my sink, like on my kitchen counter. I did it at my house. So I would have the chopsticks, and this, let's say the chopsticks shipped to me. I'd have ramen ship me the soups. I bought some boxes from like U-Haul or, you know, Uline or wherever you want to buy boxes. And I would put them together. I'd get a little baggies, and I maybe, depending what I'm shipping and how I'm putting it together, maybe I get the pack of 24 chopsticks, I wrap them, and I put them with the box of 24, and I put that however I need to ship it, and then I get all of them together, I create an FBA shipment, and I ship all of them to Amazon FBA. They receive them, and then as every order comes in, they tell me, best email in the world, congratulations, your item is shipped, and then, you know, they pay you in 2 weeks. So that's a rough overview of the logistics.
So basically, using the brands as the brand recognition, the consumers would see that, because peanut butter, for example.
Yeah.
If your grandmother gave you that same peanut butter, whenever you go to Publix or Walmart, you get that peanut butter. That's how brand works. So basically, you're saying just using that brand and then their wholesale price and small margin, adding something extra to it that will give more advantage for us to be able to sell. So is this to start and build the repetition and get the reviews and stars, or is this just the start for the learning the process? Because I don't see much margin or money you can make.
Sure, no, that's a really good question. So we'll break that down, and just repeating it for anyone watching on the stream, you're asking, you kind of repeated why the model works, and you understand the affinity, like the social proof is there because you recognize the peanut butter, but then you're marking it up a little, and you're adding something to it. And what's the end goal really? Is it just to continue doing this, or is it just to build up reviews so you can do something else? That's the question, right? So you have a few options. Well, first of all, the margin in that scenario, so let's use ramen noodles and the chopsticks. Let's say that if you sold the ramen noodles by themselves, there's so much competition on that at the end of it you were left with 50 cents, but it required you to put out $2.50 times 500 units, and you're like, I don't feel like putting out $3 to make 50 cents. Like, I feel like I'm petty hustling, right? So, but what happens is now when you add the chopsticks, and you've just taken the time to do a variety pack with some mixes, you've now added a little value just by doing the mixes, because ramen doesn't have a listing that has a mix of the 4 seasonings. So you've bolted on another 50 cents, right? You're at $1 on a $2.50 item. So we're already at percentage-wise, this is good, but total dollar amount, no. Then you've also added the chopsticks. So say you add another 20 cents, your chopsticks were a penny. So you're now at $1.20 on a $2.50 item. That's not bad. I don't feel like we're petty hustling there. Now, if we only sold 2 a day, I don't care what the percentage is. My overall dollar amount is I'm making $2.40 a day. That doesn't work. However, you're doing this at scale. And yeah, you want to be able to get, those are just some easy numbers for here. That's actually the overall dollar amount's more. But let's use a different example. Let's pretend that you started your own brand of ramen noodles, right? And you mixed up the 4 flavors because your value add was that your unique selling proposition is that you're going to have a variety pack nobody else doesn't. So you do. You have a much greater margin than if you bought from ramen, right? But what does that look like in the breakdown of a sale? How much are you having to spend in advertising to acquire the sale? You're going to make significantly less than if you did this on your own, and your risk in this not even working is actually quite high. That's the risk of private label. So this allows you to more quickly get sales at a much more affordable cost per acquisition or cost per sale, because you're not having to put in the, if you don't run ads, you don't get seen for X amount of time. So you're able to have a lot more profit margin this way. To your other point though, are you just kind of building up reviews to do something else? That something else could be, am I going to swap out some of the components on this listing at a later date? Totally could. We're getting against Amazon's rules here, but like this is one of the ones that everyone kind of like bends. Let's say you had 4 different flavors of ramen, and then your goal here is like, wow, you know, these listings are going really good, I really like them. What about if instead of 4 different flavors of ramen, that's 4 flavors, 5 packs each. What if I get one of those 5 packs and I make my own brand? But I swapped it out for the chili, so I'm putting my own brand of chili. So my profit margin now like radically increased, but I'm still able to include ramen in the mix because they're there, but I'm also kind of soft introducing my own ramen noodle soup. So there is a play there for that to boost your profit margins down the line. These Giardelli chocolates, this person has the Giardelli chocolates, and he pairs it with I think he pairs it with marshmallows, right? Like Giardelli hot chocolate, and pairs it with like marshmallows, right? On this by the cup. Profit margin is really good on that. Like it's actually higher than what it would be if he just sold the Giardelli chocolates. And Giardelli chocolates, am I saying that right, Giardelli? And Giardelli sells at a really high volume. Imagine if you created your own chocolate, just called like, I'm not making fun of you, but Pepe's chocolate. You know what I mean? And like, who's gonna take a risk on that? Like, you know how much like you got to put out on a private label side to like get people to like know, like, and trust you and use this, and how much of it's gonna get broken and meltables? Like, you ain't gonna deal with any of that. So I guess I acknowledge what you're saying, but pushing back, it's actually more profitable quicker to do it here. There might be a downside later if you never start transitioning in your own brand to where you kind of hit, like, this is the max that this variation can kind of do. You know, what else should I add here? Like, I don't feel like adding in higher end chopsticks. So, did that help? Or okay. Okay, any questions on that before we move to the next one? So that's 3. 4th one, I'm still gonna go down here saying one of the best, or one of the one of the best things to start on Amazon as a beginner, just in a very different way than I think most people would go about doing it, is if you have the budget, private label is still an amazing thing to, it still is an amazing thing to start. I just need to qualify that you do have the budget to do it. If you don't have the budget, it is a fantastic way to never, ever, ever have the courage to start your own business again, because you are going to go down in flames on this. High stress, no profits, long hour, like it could be just an exercise in futility if you don't do it right. But if you do have the budget and you did take the time to differentiate like your product, which I think is a huge way to do it, then private label still is a great thing to start. If you don't have the budget, and by the way, I recommend avoiding at all costs, I recommend avoiding supplements, right? And maybe even the guys from Rivley, I don't know, they have a successful exit, but ask them on the way out, like, I don't even know, can you hear me? I don't know if he's listening. I don't even know if they would recommend supplements, even though they have a huge win under their belt with it, but like.
Not in 2024.
Not in 2020, it's just like.
Even the regulations that they have nowadays are just skyrocketed.
Right.
Getting tested, do specific vendors now do the tests. It's just a different game.
Yeah. So my easiest way, so I'll break down the easiest way to start private label and the most affordable way I know to do it. And one of my biggest regrets, like somebody's like, if you could go back in time, like, what would you do differently? Knowing what you know now, it's this next one. I drank the Kool-Aid for years on China being the only way to go when it comes to private label. It is not true, right? I'm telling you, I was wrong. If you go back and listen to my stuff from like many, many moons ago, I was saying a completely different thing than I'm saying now. I'm not saying COVID changed me. Like, I mean, hopefully we never have a pandemic again, but COVID forced me to like question certain things, and I was like, the answer I got back, I was like, well, I'm just answering it this way, but like, I've never really done it, and like, let's start probing here a little bit. The hardest way to do private label is sourcing products from China. There are some products that you just have to, and I have great relationships with people in China. I mean, I love Alibaba, I love doing all that stuff, but nobody here yet about private label. Like even you mentioned hair, right? Well, the hair products are probably going to come from the Americas or from Brazil or something like that. They're not coming from China. But most people, they're just passionate about cash flowing positive. They're not passionate about a specific widget. Like if you told me you were passionate about, LED ceiling fans, you're probably going to China, like to get those ceiling fans. Like that's what it is, and good for you. Like I think it might be a great business. Like there are some products right now that I'm just like, yeah, I think you need to go there because you have tempt to do this in Mexico or India, like you're in a world of hurt. And if you do this in the U.S., like it's going to be cost prohibitive. Like you might be able to find someone, but it's not going to look good for you. Like, and maybe there is for ceiling fans, but I just pulled that one out because it seemed like something that has a lot of moving parts to it. Now, what? Oh, moving parts. Yeah, like I got you. There is a ton of opportunity, I'm going to say, in the U.S., and I'm not saying this out of some sense of patriotism. I do love the country, but it's more of a, there is just so much opportunity. You just have to look at the products differently. And if your passion lies in just making money, there's a ton of opportunity. There's a show that I go to, and I want to make this easier because if I just leave it at that, you are just going to be more stressed and have more questions than you have answers. And if I just say, go to Thomas Net, which is a great spot you can go look at. If I say, go to Maker's Row, if I say, go to maybe next month Rivley, if I say, like, if I say any of these things, they may not be very actionable for you right now, or they may just like be like drinking out of a fire hose. So I'm going to give you something super actionable that you can go do, and maybe even something you can think about doing again as with the group of us, because we're going to go to Chicago in November and do this. But we do product sourcing at a show called Private Label Manufacturers Association in Chicago every year. I always go to the show. It is full and it's massive. I think this year they're going to have over 5,000 vendors there. It is full of nothing but it used to be nothing but US based factories, but now I still say US, but it's the Americas. So your North America, your Central South America. It's in November in Chicago. You'd have to look it up, but PLMA 2024, and it is full of nothing but factories from the US with low MOQs for the most part, low minimum order quantities, and very competitive pricing to anywhere else around the world. We go there as a group. If you want to go solo and hidden in what you're doing, just say hi to us in the aisles, but you're welcome to come with us. We don't charge anything for you to go with us. It's just, there's a power in numbers at conferences, and when you're going with a group of people, it gives you confidence. You can ask questions live, like, what do you think I should say to that person? They said this. Or sometimes when you just walk up to a booth and there's a whole bunch of people, it kind of reminds me of like when I first met my wife and I was dating, and I'm tattooed up. I'm sleeved up. I was wearing Crocs, gym shorts, and a Heat jersey, right? And she told me later on, but I was surrounded by like 8 to 10 other friends in like the salsa dance scene, not Andres, thankfully, but like 8 to 10 other friends. So it was kind of like, oh, he's got to be a normal person if he has all these different friends, you know what I mean? So when you go to these trade shows, these conferences, if this example makes sense, you go there and when they see you around a whole bunch of other business people, they're like, well, I got to take this person serious. They got to network. So it's an advantage going there. The downside that some people have with this conference is that I would say a good 50%, 60% of it's food, right? Maybe even 70, Andres, like food-based products. Let me tell you something, food is the best product that you want to do if you're starting on Amazon. People buy it, they subscribe to it, They keep buying the thing that they love doing. The downside for people when you think of food is I need to get the FDA stuff. I need to do all this other like tests. No, all the factories there already have all of those. So you're buying from them and you're inheriting that from them. It is very easy. Trust me when I tell you this. It is much more pleasant to jump on a plane, to go to San Diego to meet your supplier than it is to go to China, somewhere in Chengdu or Chaozhou, to meet your ceramics factory. Much more pleasant of a trip. I recommend going with us. Food, you don't need 30,000 to start. You can get away with 15. I know that's a lot. And you can get away with 15 or less. It's also a phenomenal place to start pairing with a PL wholesale model if you want to go there. Like, you go there and you could find the chocolate cocoa people and get a wholesale account with some marshmallow people, or vice versa, or whatever you want to do. You can get the popcorn people with your glove people. So it's full of those opportunities. If you wanted a quick way to access it now, and this was my actionable thing for you guys, we have an app. It's free. I'm not about to sell you anything, but we have an app called Wizards of Ecom app. It's in the App Store, wherever you download apps. If you download the Wizards of Ecom app, in the bottom right, there's a section, there's a button called Resources, right? Or Files, Andres. Files. I think it's called Files. If you click on that, you're going to see one of the files there is called PLMA. We digitized the entire catalog, and it's a massive catalog. It's like a 400 and something, 500, last year it was $495 catalog. We digitized it. So it's very difficult to go through unless you have ChatGPT. So you just download this file, upload it into ChatGPT, and then ask ChatGPT, please give me the address of all the factories that make ramen noodle seasoning. Give me their address, website, and phone number, and then it just spits it all out for you. Now you have a list of people that you could call for your popcorn seasoning, for your ramen noodle seasoning, for whatever you want to do, whatever you want to get into, whatever you want to explore. Right there, easily. I mean, and it's a very high value catalog. I can't think of a more actionable resource that I can give you guys access to, and it's free. But again, you definitely want to go with us to the PLMA event. All right, any questions on that before I get into the last one? All right, last one, by far the easiest way to start selling on Amazon. I almost got to pinch myself on this one. And it's called the Amazon Influencer Program. Okay, so if you're not an influencer, it does not matter. What happens is you get to record a short little video about any of the products you have around your house. You don't have to be on video, right? If you are, I think it's a plus. But you're literally going, I have this, like recording, I have this phone case. It's really hard. I love traveling with it because I broke my last few pairs of glasses. The end, that's it. Like, that's all you have to do. You get the video, you go on Amazon, you upload it to your Amazon influencer portal, you tag the listing. This shows up on the listing as a video. Anytime somebody goes to this listing to buy the product and they look at your video, you make a commission on the sale of that product and anything else that's in the cart at that time. So the commission percentage depends on what's in the cart. The people in the group that are doing this, I cannot emphasize this enough to you guys, how easy this program is. I think everyone here should do it regardless of the model. I'm doing it. The people that are doing this, that are uploading about 5 products a day, are making thousands of dollars per month. And you start making money, you start seeing the money you're making within the first few days. This isn't one of these things that you got to do forever. The first payout is usually in about 4 weeks, but you can see it so easily, and you don't have to buy anything. You just start with the products that are around the house. Once you've exhausted that, there's a lot of other ways to get free products. Like, once you start with the Amazon Influencer Program, vendors see your videos, and they start reaching out to you saying, hey, we sell this, XYZ widget, would you review it? And you say, yes, I'll review it for $50. They'll pay you $50, they'll send you the product, you review it, and you possibly can make commissions. There is not an easier way to make money on Amazon this way. It costs nothing to start. It's literally just free money. the person in the group that I know that's making the most with this is a friend of mine, Tom. He actually came here and presented one time. He's at, I think, 1,600 reviews that he's posted. If you know Tom, that makes sense. He's just very like on. 1,600 reviews. He's been doing this now, I think, for about 14 months, and makes a little over $10,000 a month on doing these reviews, just on the commissions. I know, pure profit. I know several other people who are doing, that have more videos than that do even more. It is a very real thing. I don't know that this model is going to exist in this way in like another 2-3 years. I can't imagine anything this good would last that long. I highly recommend doing it. I started doing it because I didn't want to get up here and like recommend anything to anyone, and not having done it myself. So I recommend starting it. To be able to do that on the Amazon Influencer Program, you need to do 2 things. You need to get approved as an Amazon influencer. And then once approved as an Amazon influencer, the second step to unlock monetization is to submit 3 videos, they approve them, and now you're unlocked to make money from your videos. So they're both critical steps. The way Amazon doesn't say what the exact criteria that's needed to be an influencer in their eyes, but it does seem to be a social media account on Facebook that has over 5,000 followers, or an Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube channel with over 10,000 followers. If you do not have them, you're like most people in the world, so do not despair. But it is extraordinarily easy to boost your followers just for the purpose of that. There's a site called Twixy, Twicsy. There's so many of them, but you can get a site like Twixy and pay, like, I mean, you can get 5,000 in a few days for like $100. Like, totally worth doing. What I can say is the amount of time that the social media account has been around is probably the most important factor in whether you get approved for the monetization piece of it. So if you do have a social media account that maybe has been dormant forever, like you took a stab at real estate and you created a page, a couple of years back and left it dormant, and then you want to go back and use that one and just boost the followers, that would work. Just before applying for the Amazon Influencer Program, make sure that you've been posting on your social media account for the last 10 days. They can't look more than 10 days back. Preferably post twice a day for 10 days, and then it does not matter if you post again. Once you've done that, you get approved. The 2 platforms that are the easiest to get approved for both the program and monetization currently is YouTube and TikTok. Ironically, TikTok's also the easiest one to get the most followers and likes on. It does seem like, I wouldn't try to do this, but it does seem like you need less than 5,000 to get approved, and I think that has a lot to do with Amazon just wanting to like get anything they possibly can from TikTok on their platform. But either one of those are the 2 critical steps. To put some things in perspective, we're on track to do $14,000 this month, just on the reselling of the products that you see, all the boxes and stuff, or the reselling of the products that were sent from suppliers or the other places that we get free products. Not even the commissions. Our commissions on the high end were like, and I'm not treating this like a full-time business, but our commissions on the high end were like $3,200. But still, it's $3,200. It's all profit. Like, that's not counting the money vendors pay us just to do the video. So there's commissions, there's the vendor payouts, or like brand deals, and the reselling of the product. It is bonkers to say that reviewing some products around the house, if you add all those things together, could start doing something like $20K a month. That's just mental to me. I will say, full transparency, been a full-time seller for 15 years. I will tell you that 8 of them, I was not clearing $20,000 in profit per month. I was putting $20,000 in my pocket every month for the majority of time that I've been a seller on Amazon. And this is a seller that gets invited to speak on stage in other places and stuff like that. I am telling you, I was not putting $20,000 in profit in my pocket every month. when that happened. It was all going back into the business, and it was taking more risk and growing the business. That's the other side of private label. There are no private label people that have brands that are also sort of rich from them while they're in the brand. Like they are people that have a job that pay themselves the minimum amount necessary from that brand so that they can grow it, and then when they exit the brand, they get this really nice payday. So when the paydays happen, that was great. But yeah, so those are the 5. We got POD, or Merch by Amazon. We've got the Kindle Direct Publishing by Amazon, using the the activity books. We have Wholesale PL Hybrid. We have private label, and finally we have the Amazon Influencer Program. Yeah.
Did you mention your course?
Oh,
Your course that you have.
I did create a course on the Amazon Influencer Program because it was so good. It's $99, so I'm not trying to scalp anyone, but if you want step-by-step guidance to go through the entire thing, including some of the stuff that I've told you on it, you can get it at wizardsofecom.com/courses, or just reach out to me and I'll send you the link. But you'll make the money back in like first week and a half that you're approved for monetization. This just shows you not only how to do it, some of the strategies to get around denials, as well as like how to get an unlimited stream of free products once you are approved. But trust me, most people never even get through the products that they have around their house right now. So, I mean, if you sat down, my wife and I did one night, we're deciding we're gonna do this. Kids are asleep, we're sitting on the kitchen counter, and we're just like, let's start making, my wife and I are the same, like we wanna make a list. So like, let's make a list of the things, and we're just looking around, and we couldn't even get out of the kitchen, and we just had columns of stuff. So, yeah, I recommend the course. Thank you for the plug. I do recommend the course. And if you go to wizardsofecom.com/course, or afterwards we can trade numbers and I can send you a link to it. So if you don't, yeah. All right. Any questions? If not, I hope that was some actionable stuff for you guys, and that you liked it, and that it was worth the trip coming down.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. And if there's no questions on the if there's any questions on the stream.
Yeah, one question. I know someone asked if there's any advice on selling chocolate with Amazon FBA.
Yeah.
Because of the melting stuff.
Any advice on selling chocolate because of Amazon FBA and it melting? Yes. So there's a period of time, I think it's like October 1st through April 1st, that you can send chocolate. That's right. That's right. That you can send chocolate, more or less. It might be March 1st or April 1st, that you can send chocolate chocolate products into Amazon FBA. Outside of that, it's a lot hotter and there's meltables. So some of the tricks there, if you will, is one, get into a very strong subscribe and save rhythm when you are in FBA, so you have subscriptions that can continue to happen. You can now do subscribe and save on the merchant fulfilled side, so that's a pretty huge one. You'll at least have those sales. When you're doing it merchant fulfilled, you can easily put a very affordable cool pack inside, and in most cases it'll be fine. Also, the types of people that subscribe to your product are a little friendlier if it comes in softer because they really like your brand, and they'll just pop it in the refrigerator. It's not like it's liquefied. The other one is this, is depending on the product. So if we're looking at like, you want to get a Hershey's chocolate bar, this is just like eating straight up chocolate, the taste is super important. Usually the better the taste, the lower the melting point. So the quicker it'll melt. Like if you've ever noticed like really good chocolate you've had, it seems to be the better the chocolate, the easier it melts. That seems to be I'm sure there's a scientific thing behind that, but there is a predetermined melting point on the types of chocolate you get. So if the taste of the chocolate is not as important, and I'll give you some examples as to when that's the case, then just get a chocolate that has a higher melting point. And when you list the product on Amazon, you can let them know what the melting point of the chocolate is. And if it's above their threshold for that out of season on chocolate, you're allowed to continue sending your chocolate to FBA. A lot of people don't realize that. So an example here would be, and this will be a little aside on like how I approach private label, period, like how my mind works. And I use these things that I recently found out were called Venn diagrams. So how I imagine it is a circle, bunch of circles. So in this circle, you have chocolate. And if you decide you want to sell chocolate and this is where you stay, usually as a new private label seller, that's where your money goes to die. It's super competitive. You're going after the word chocolate. Hershey's is your competitor, like bad, right? But then over here, let's say you have caffeine, or you have coffee. Let's call it coffee, caffeine, energy, right? Also alone, if you go here, usually, this is where your money goes to die. This is extreme competition. But if we get these two and we intersect them, that little area, the Venn diagram, we're now looking at caffeinated chocolate or coffee chocolate balls or coffee flavored chocolate. Significantly less competition, right? So I look at private label that way and I don't stop there. And then I'm like, well, what about our proteins? You know what I mean? So then we got protein here. I'm like, what are the types of proteins? I guess nuts, right? So now we move the nuts into, that sounds bad. We move everything together. And we put it, I'm on the stream and I just said that. I hope. I'm sorry. So you get what I'm saying. We put the three of them together and now we have coffee flavored chocolate nuts. It's an example, guys. Keep it PG. So like, you put the three of them together, almost no competition. And in that case, no one's really buying that product expecting the taste of the types of chocolate that you get from Hershey's, right? They're looking for something that's better than a Red Bull that they might be able to take that feels like they're cheating before they do CrossFit, you know? And then you could add a fourth one, which is flavor. Like, why not make this? This is more of the private label side and less the question about how to get around FBA chocolate. Now it's like, well, I wonder how many sellers there are right now that are selling. What's the flavor that everyone just goes bonkers on? Pumpkin spice. So we have a pumpkin spice caffeinated chocolate nut, pack of nuts, right? I bet you there's none, right? But there are people that you know are interested in all those things. So like that's how my mind works with private label. And I hope that answers the question on how to get around or how I would approach the FBA side of it. If you have a chocolate that, you know, the melting point, unfortunately, is in the range where most is, then just build up your subscribe and saves. And if not, just consider it a chocolate where taste is not the most important factor of the chocolate itself. All right. No other questions? No? All right. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Bye.
That was very good. Thank you. I feel like guilty knowing all these. Like, do you know that? And I'm here suffering. So many answers, you know, so many options.
Yeah, there's a lot of options.
Yeah, I just need to put my brain where it's supposed to make a decision and decide on which one. Maybe two, if one is not too difficult. One or two together.
Sure. You want to
Yes.
move on over to stand by
And I
You use WhatsApp?
yes. And I'm considering like when you guys go to in November, if I can make
Yeah,
it, I can make it.
absolutely.
That'll be awesome. Oh, like that. You're so more. I'm too old for that. Let me see. How do I do
Any
that?
camera.
Camera? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And if you can, just share your name, and you should have mine, so I can save your name. And if you say, if you want the course, send me the course. If you want the Telegram chat, just let me know that so I know what to send. And then either tonight or tomorrow morning I'll send it.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Like this, I just send the message, right?
Yeah, that's it.